The word was spoken by the mouth of the prophets. Let it be. Times of hard working and poverty of souls. The flesh is at a crossroads. Behind the walls of lies, vices of hearts, the human heart despises the truth. Doomed to misery, blind slaves, systems of hungry spawn. And among all this crowd, nuggets hide in empty apartments on the outskirts of cities, tormented by everyone and at all times, utter the word of life with pure lips. The weak string will sink into the deep of oppression, and after it, a new life will be reborn under the all-seeing eye of God, the Spirit of Truth.
I welcome you to the Movement to the Light platform. We'll not tell you how to act, how to think and what to do. We only give you access to information and how to dispose of it. Decide for yourself. I want to say in advance that you should not look for justice, but you should look for yourself and your place in this world. Because in the world of manipulation and deception, it is difficult to find the right answers. From our side, they will also not be given. Only the keys will be given so that you can independently participate in the assembly of the game called life. And today, it's time for the 5th series, Times and Moors. Time is something that can't be seen, time is something that can be touched, but time is the most important thing on earth, for time is something that can't be returned and can be replayed. A person determines who he should be, determines what he should do, determines many things in his life, except the power over time. Time is that which doesn't belong to man. Time is that which shows man his insignificance, for time on earth is the measure of his life. The life of man is a task. The task of man is a multiply life on earth. The measure is given so that a person remembers that his time isn't eternal. Eternity is something unreal for a person, but there is something real for the soul. The present lies in the spirit of truth. A person who knows the spirit finds eternity, finds an understanding that eternity is a gift. For the soul that knows itself, the self-aware soul strives for the multiplication of life, strives for the realization of itself, through the spirit using the tools on earth. Every person determines how to live, what to think and what to feel, but not every person understands this, because a person who knows himself determines his fate, and not a person who knows himself criticizes the times and wars. The main thing to remember is that times don't choose, they live and die in them. Every man who knows himself is already dead to the earthly world, but alive to the spiritual world. His time is eternal and his morals are pure. The measure no longer determines his life but determines his actions, since it's a person's responsibility to see the measure of control in time. In the last program, we talked about money. And this program will talk about time. For many people, these two words, time and money, are quite consonant. For some, they are even synonymous. Do you know how many people I've met who sell their lives for money? Thousands, tens of thousands people only in my memory, and how many such people in the world? Billions, many billions, and how many people on earth give their money to live? Exactly the same amount. It's like a system of communicating vessels. When there is a time, We spend it on making money, and when there is money, we spend it to fill the time of our lives with something interesting and necessary. It's vicious circle, don't you think? As a result, it turns out that without money it is difficult, and with money it is more difficult. But I am sure that the majority will choose the second option, which is better with money and difficulties than without money at all. I agree that money gives a lot to people, sometimes too much, that people no longer know where to put it and what to spend it on. As a result, it turns out that some people live from paycheck to paycheck, trying to somewhere survive, while others spend money right and left because in a pleasure. But what exactly unites the two groups is their hatred of each other. Some people hate the rich because they think they are thieves, which is quite possible, and the rich hate the poor because they don't think they are people at all, but both camps are in ignorance called greed for profit. And as a result, all people's lives are spent on making money, and the other part are spending it, but it was sad. Wealth is not an abundance of possessions. However, true wealth is the wealth of the soul. And now I want to ask, and how many people appreciate and even more so look for a valuable soul? I've never seen anything like it. It seems that you meet people you want to spend time interesting, and they just ask you, where do you work? What do you do? What are your hobbies? What are your hobbies? How do you spend your free time? And so on. Maybe for a while it may seem that a person is genuinely interesting in you. But all this is deception and ordinary hypocrisy. In fact, behind all these questions, there is an ordinary thirst for profit, and through questions, the other person evaluates you how much he will be interested in you, both financially and with the calculation of the invested time. Moreover, even if you are intellectually rich, spiritually gifted, and endowed with other qualities, this will still not be enough, because they say about such people, if the son of Adam had a valley of gold, he would love to have two valleys, and he would fill his mouth only with dirt, and God would repent on those who repented. And in this saying, the most valuable thought is expressed at the end. I will accept the repentance of those who repent, but if you say such words to most people, they will only laugh, and then they will humiliate you by saying that you're a boor. These people have imbued their life with ignorance, that they see only irritation in simple sayings. To make it more clear what I'm getting at, I'll give you an analogy. For example, you need to get to work, and you know that all people work, and you also walk to work. It's free, but it takes a lot of time, and then there is a person who offers to let you down. It will save a lot of time, but you'll need to thank this person later, right? This is where all the hypocrisy of most people is revealed, because they do not know how to be grateful for what they have and for what comes to them. So they want to get the best only for themselves, here and now, and in limitless volumes, and with the eternally disinterested face. And the ability to be grateful always comes from the ability to admit your mistakes, which in turn leads to repentance. For godly grief produces a repentance that leads to salvation without regret, whereas worldly grief produces death. But unfortunately, all I have to hear is people whining about how bad things are in their lives. and how little I have heard from people that everything is bad because of their own fault. And in the rarest cases, I have heard that ask what needs to be done to fix everything. But don't be in a hurry to rejoice ahead of time, because people personally on my path who have passed through repentance, who have accepted grace, after a while pretended that it was an insignificant ordinary event. I personally can't understand how people can give a confession to the Lord and then with a clever look deny it, saying evasively that it was a minor event in their life. Why evasively? Yes, because a false mouth is much more pleasant to hear than the hard truth about loved one. For there is no truth in their mouth, their inmost self in destruction, their throat is in an open grave, they flatter with their tongue. As a result, the most terrible events occur in their lives of these people and people who are caught in the network of their deception. The problem is that you will not be able to understand whether a person is deceiving you until he deceives you, and this can only be found out if you test him, and this is time, at least strength, and money at most. As a result, a healthy person has to live in a society of hypocrites who only wants to rob you, who wants to steal your money, your strength, and your time, and if the strength and money can still be restored and returned, then the time is running out forever. These people are like leeches who want to drink your blood because they don't know how to do more and do not want to but remember. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who breathes out lies will perish. Therefore, it is worth remembering that what is desired in a man is steadfast love, and a poor man is better than a liar. With these lines, I want to tell you people that for a full time you need to know yourself, and to do this you need to be grateful, and for this you need to go through the repentance of the soul, and the repentance of the soul will allow you to find a connection with the Lord, which in turn will lead you to a full life. The circle closed. At the beginning of the transmission, I also expressed a circle, only it leads to hell, and this circle, like the first, will lead you to heaven, because the fear of the Lord leads to life, and whoever has it rests satisfied. He will not be visited by harm. If it's so simple, then why it is happening? The whole problem is that people want to get everything at once, and in the end they get nothing, and gradually. After repentance, your earthly life doesn't end, which means that the time comes not only for gratitude, but also for a whole work on yourself. You will have to accept the fact that people on earth are godless, that they are false, hypocritical, and a bunch of other epithets. And now comes the most interesting but also the most difficult stage in your life to save yourself. If in the darkness of time you will have to accept life as it is, make decisions and take responsibility for them without shifting it to other shoulders, but due to the fact that most people have a borderline level of mentality. We have a population with an infantile view of the world and life in general, the kind of kids that everyone owes. This is a price for emotion destructions in the direction of desire, and you'll have to accept it, not accept it, but accept it. And then your life, although it will be difficult, but the most important thing to remember, it will be really real, because good sense makes one slow to anger, and it's in his glory to overlook an offense. After you accept life and people with all their imperfections, you need to find a business that multiplies your life. Since most people are only interested in earning money, this will be a very difficult task, but it is worth it, because there is nothing more beautiful than doing your own business in which there is a benefit. Perhaps this will not bring you much capital, but it will not worry much, because better is a poor person who walks in his integrity than one he is crooked in speech and is a fool. Perhaps someone will say, why not be both rich and immaculate? I will answer this question because it will be too easy to give an answer. It is better for you to check everything for yourself. Try to become rich and pure while having mind and a pure soul, and then tell us how well you did it, because to wish for something is not bad, but to get the desired result is a whole job. Results. Life on earth is not eternal, but the soul has the right to eternity. The right to eternity comes from gratitude. Gratitude comes from repentance. Repentance and gratitude lead to an increase in life, and the multiplication of life give the soul the right to live forever. And one last thing, remember, one series will not give an exhaustive answer to everything. We did this deliberately so you would come to the conclusion that there is no one answer to everything, that the answer to everything lies in the answers to many questions. These questions will be discussed in the next series, which will complement each other, so that you have a complete picture. Because the whole, although it is a combination of many details, is not always identical to them. Like the film, although it is a combination of many frames, but it is not frames initially. And in order for individual frames to still become a film, this will require the right effort. This is the end of the day, and peace be upon you and your home.